Welcome to Talkin Tires, the podcast that delves deep into the world of tires. Join us as we explore everything from the science behind the manufacturing to the latest innovations in tire recycling. Our aim is to provide you with a comprehensive understanding of tires, including how they work, how to maintain them, and how to dispose of them responsibly. Whether you're a seasoned mechanic, curious car enthusiast, or an avid recycler, Talkin Tires is the perfect podcast for anyone who wants to learn about the essential component of the modern vehicle and heavy equipment. So buckle up and join us for an informative and engaging journey into the world of tires. All right, welcome to another episode of Talkin Tires. I'm your host, Craig Hunter, president of Tire Reclaim, and I'm here with, and this is really exciting because this is an anniversary of our first ever episode of Talkin Tires. So I have Tom Parker from All American Tire Recyclers again, 1 year later, and we got a lot to catch up on, buddy. Welcome.
Yes. It's glad to be back. I'm looking in the camera at myself. I don't think I've aged a year at all. But if you were to look at the heartache we've had in 2024 and the wins and some of the struggles, surprised I look this good. A little sore. Well, my wife's going to watch it and give me a hard time. So
that's why we got you on here, though, as I would like a catch up. And I'm learning in this industry as well of tire recycling that things do happen fast and a lot of pivot points and a lot of things that it seems like you're keeping up with the way the industry moves. And we'll be able to talk about, because I watched our first episode a little bit, and there was a lot of pitfalls you were warning me about. All of them came true. Everything that we, right down to how we bonus our guys on filling their their trucks, out on collections, things like that. But I want to get into all that. But what's kind of cool is we don't really need to go back. So if anyone wants to hear Tom's story, and Jody, hi Jody, I know you'll be watching. If you want to go back and watch it was my first episode of Talkin Tires. You can find it the same place you found this, and watch that. It's a great story of overcoming unemployment at that time, if I remember correctly, and basically a lot of changes were happening in your life, but it turned out that drive and that determination to do something better and something different, and even a little different with the way you handled tires and not relying on landfills and not relying on other tire processors like Liberty Tire to control your destiny. And it took a lot of risk from you and Joni to step out and say, we're going to buy this piece of equipment and we're going to buy these trucks. And we're going to do this so that we can no longer be waiting for someone to dictate us how our life's going to play out. We're going to start taking the bull by the horns. And what Brett and I have commented many times as you guys is that's where that success comes from, is like that eagerness to go ahead and invest the money because I'm the one here driving the ship, and I want to see it succeed because of my own passions and success, drive for success. So, I'll give you all those kudos and let somebody know they can go back and watch that or listen to that story and watch our podcast. But now we can kind of fast forward from that podcast. At that time, I had just installed our Jomar machine, that we went and visited your Jomar tire recycling machine to learn how to make TDF and crumb rubber. And basically, we've been selling it for a year now, and we did, over 8 football fields local to Idaho last year. And that's, thank you. And that's we're able to talk about that, right? And that's important to our community, which I'm sure you could share about as well. But in that time frame, like, we knew how to test our product ahead of time because of our relationship with you. And I guess, if that was a success story of this full circle of recycling tires through infill, would be how we were able to lean on you guys. If you remember, we came out and visited before we ordered our machinery, and then we came out and visited after we ordered our machinery, and we visited with you when you took delivery of your machinery. And it's just been like kind of like a group working together towards the same end goal, but thousands of miles separated, right? Because you're way down in Dallas, Texas, and we're up here in Boise, Idaho. So thank you for that. We had a lot of success with chrome rubber, and we avoided a lot of mistakes because of your input early on and throughout this process. And I know Brett calls and picks your brain because he'll come up one morning and be like, "Oh yeah, I was on the phone with Tom for like an hour. We need to talk about a couple things." It's so
Yeah,
funny.
he just loves to call and talk shit. So
Yeah,
I will
yeah.
tell you, you did touch on something about the testing and stuff like that. It's funny, I had a conversation with the steel mill, and I know you guys are very familiar with this. And I've heard this a few times, and I just want to put this out there. I'm glad you guys are testing and you guys are taking stuff seriously. We make quality product, and we have a testing lab, and I know you guys are following down the same road. I got feedback from the steel industry. We met with one of our biggest customers that we sell our wire to. He goes, Tom, you know what? I love the fact that I come in here unannounced and we pull a sample of your steel and it's the same steel that gets delivered. I'm like, what are you talking about? He goes, man, we get stuff. They always bring us the best stuff. The first couple loads, I give them good pricing. And then 3 weeks later, we're getting, crap. We're not getting
Right.
quality stuff. And the
The
same
old bait
applies
and
to
switch.
Yep, the chrome rubber industry is the same thing. It's all about our name and putting our neck out there, and it's good to know that you guys are following the lead. And we didn't invent this; we're following, behind Intech. They're one of the best out there that make the best, big, largest chrome. So we're not reinventing the wheel. We're just having to have our own growing pains and work through it. So it's been a hell of a year. What else has been going on?
Well, honestly, a lot. So we've been behind in Idaho on a lot of things like, even laws and restrictions, and people just dump tires wherever. They might go collect a bunch of tires in an area and eBay sell some used tires out of what they've gathered, and then just go dump them here or there or anywhere. So we've been working pretty closely on getting a tire recycling bill established, which is a big part of what I think the industry needs. If you notice, I think there's 36 states that have something that helps out, to get the tires basically to where the counties and cities have enforcement to keep people from dumping tires, but also to get somebody some help if someone dumped tires on their property. Because you
Mhm.
walk out, one day you go to visit your property and there's 300 tons of tires sitting out there and you didn't know anything about it. I know you probably have heard of that quite a bit more than our citizens. Our citizens are still caught off guard by it, but some of the bigger metropolis areas, it happens all the time, right? So we're trying to safeguard and get Idaho set up to where we can, keep it clean or get it clean because there are legacy piles all over Idaho, but also to keep it clean. So we're
Yeah.
doing that, on a few different efforts, but one of them is, first of all, anytime you have an issue, you have to stop the bleeding, right? No different in a life-saving issue. Like I was telling my dad the other day, it was kind of explaining the situation is it's just like when they tell you to put your mask on first and then help the person next to you. If we don't
Yeah.
fix if we don't fix the problem, uh, and then start cleaning it up, then you just cleaning it up and there's more problems all the time. You never really get an opportunity to fix it. So we've gotten involved with that. And then something else you and I talked about the last podcast was TDF, the tire derived fuel, because it's technically a byproduct, but it's a fuel and a product of its own. And we've learned a lot about that. And if I'm not mistaken, you have the ability to make more TDF because of the amount of tire cutters and grinders that you have to make chrome rubber, right?
Yeah, we're doing about 210 to 230 tons a day,
Wow.
approximately 18,000 tires, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So we're moving a lot of material. So
Do you know?
only, go ahead.
I was just wondering what's that product like mix, or
It's
you don't have to share if you don't want to,
No,
but
no,
I'm
it's
just
fine.
curious.
I will tell you my goal last year was 16 million pounds of chrome rubber. And officially we did 20 million pounds. And
Oh my goodness.
and we're sitting on about 3.5, 4 million pounds. So we
Just
the
cranking it out.
yeah, and I'm learning these turf companies, boy, they really they'll shoot high. And it's very difficult to try to judge that. So this year we're working on keeping a 3 million pound in stock. And remember, we have to have land to set all this stuff down and hold it. And these governing agencies aren't really used to someone of our size and the amount of volume that we have. So having 3 million pounds on the ground, which is 1,500 bags of chrome rubber,
Yeah.
they see that as a liability, right? So they've come out. We're working on changing some permits and permitting styles and stuff like that. But it's one of those things where we're trying to do the right thing and not landfill and kind of work through all these issues. But it's just, one of those things, part of doing business. But it kind of caught us by surprise when they came out and we're like, look, this is a valuable product. This is not a liability. This is an asset. And they just don't understand that we get these forecasts, and if it rains or weather changes, it gets pushed out 2 or 3 months. So that's kind of been one of our chrome rubber struggles this year. But I was very surprised to see that we did sell 20 million pounds. My goal was 16, so that was definitely a big win for us.
Can I go back to that real quick though? So it caught you off guard on the storage capabilities. Is that what I'm hearing you say? So that is, do they not see it in bags and ready to be loaded on a truck? Because it seems obvious that that's a product, a commodity just waiting to ship. Is it because of the fire, or do they see it as a
It,
hazardous material?
it,
Or
it's just we've come a long way with the chrome rubber thing. I wouldn't say it's new, but it's not, when it comes to the government and the bureaucracy that goes into that, like nothing happens fast. So we're having to jump through extra hoops to put it in perspective. I have to go change my storage permit. I have to increase it. I have to go back and get financial assurance, which is just paperwork. I have to get a letter that says, hey, we have someone that will take this for free. So I don't need to put X number of dollars in a bond or whatever to
bond?
protect it in case. So it's just, what it is, just more paperwork, more money to be kind of thrown out the
Yeah.
window. And
And,
it's,
and
yeah, go ahead.
and catch up to modern times. They probably say, like you're saying, it's come a long ways in a short period of time. So they might not understand, and we found this too, is there's a lot of education factor in tire recycling. Like Brett, his family has dealt in metals for 3 generations, 50 years, and that's an industry that's, it's institutional. It's like
Mhm.
probably 150, 200 years. Well, recycling metals probably been around for since the age of time, but that industry is just more established. And I think in recycling tires, there's still a lot people don't know, right? So somebody reading on a piece of paper and it says they got 1,500, 3 million pounds of something stored. We need to go investigate and find out what
Yes.
that is. So it seems more like um pay your dues. Like somebody
Yeah,
told me
exactly. That's
they
exactly what it
gotta,
is.
yeah, they gotta get all that government money back somehow, is what somebody told me, all that money that they gave us over the last 5 years. But
Yeah,
anyway,
yeah,
so
absolutely.
yeah. So the other thing I wanted to ask you about, because we have had in the past in issues with this ultra fines, so the 30 minus, if you will. And I noticed that you guys had a write-up in the Scrap Tire News recently that you were part of an asphalt program. Is that what that product's for, the 30 minus? Is that something that gets
It,
utilized in
it,
that?
it is. And we're actually using the 20 minus. And I'm actually going to kind of share this with everybody just because I have a really good relationship and I just want to give kudos and shout out to Polyco is our vendor that's buying this. And I just want to say a little bit about them. They are not just taking it. This is not a rubberized asphalt where you take the granules and you inject it into the asphalt. They are making the rubberized asphalt. They're actually melting it down and make it into a liquid. So this is some top shelf stuff. I mean, it is one of the best, if not the best, polymers that are in rubberized asphalt. And what was the magazine again? As I'm drawing a blank
Scrap
that we
Tire
were in.
News.
Scrap
Scrap
Tire News.
Tire
If you
News.
take a look at Scrap Tire News and you look at that, man, it's beautiful. It stays black, forever. But more importantly, I'm feeding my own ego a little bit. We picked them because they are where our rubber goes. And it's pretty sweet to kind of go out in the market and say, hey, city of Fort Worth, hey, city of Dallas, we've taken your tires and we've put it into our asphalt, right? Um, And to
If
me,
you don't
that's
talk about it, no one will. And that's
exactly.
and I've learned that from, different businesses and different industries is no one's going to talk about your product except you and the Polyco, right? And I've noticed that they've actually promoted that your business and that asphalt section quite a bit. They're very proud of it as well, the relationship as well, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to share a couple things about that too. In our business, I just mentioned one of the pain points about having 3 million pounds on the ground. It's tough. It takes up my parking lot, the whole area. I've got to deal with the extra regulations. And I honestly, my wife would come slap me right now. She feels like I'm giving away all the secrets all the time. But I think when you're a business owner and you're doing Crumb, I think this is something to look at. Sustainability, and Polyco runs 24/7. They take the crumb 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, right? They don't sit there on orders. They need it to run their production. So when you talk about owning a crumb business or a tire recycling plant, you got to find places that are going to operate like you. If I had to take TDF and sit on it and we shipped it every 3 months, or for instance, I'll give you an example, something, and this may be for other people, but not for me, something along the same lines is the rubber mulch. I mean, you make that 7, 8 months and you sell it in 3 months. It's great for those 3 months when you're moving it, but where do you put it for the 9 months that you're not? So it's just it's been a
Yeah.
challenge with the drum rubber, and we're proud to be a part of Polyco's business and one of their vendors. So
So did you seek them out when you decided to do blacktop? Is that what you're saying?
I did look for them initially when I first we were testing the market. Um, I had like a Chinese cracker mill, and we were testing it, and it just wasn't quality machine, so it didn't really make a good product. I just thought I could just ease into the market and kind of feel it out before I took all those big dollars and spent a lot of money on equipment. So I did take a page out of Brett's playbook where you just kind of jump right in. Not
Hmm.
my style by any means, but
Yeah,
I did it. We made the investment. It was 3.4 million for the setup, and I'm happy to sit here and tell you today that it has paid off. And we have this is last year was our most profitable year, and we're coming up on our 10-year anniversary in October. So it was a really good feeling, really good
that's
feeling.
great.
So
Well, I know the pictures looked great. There's some good flyby drone shots of the parking lot and everything. It just looked really sharp. Looked like a great improvement to your business, which I'm sure that has impacts of people bringing you tires. I know one thing, we have a really big chain that we deal with, Les Schwab tires. And early
mhm.
on, when we were getting the business, this competitor has left the market since, but uh, nice. But this competitor, they had the drivers to drop and hook a trailer had to go into a bumpy dirt field where they had this shredder unit set up, and sometimes it'd rain and be muddy and they'd have to get pulled out and things like
That's
that.
exactly where we were at.
And then they come to our place and it was all like blacktop. And the guy says, "Well, your price is getting better every day." And I go, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Well, having to listen to the drivers complain about taking them tires, I'd rather just spend a little bit more money and bring them to you." Boom, right there.
It,
That pays for
yep.
your asphalt in a nutshell, right? Because I guarantee you, if one person says that, 10 people or 100 people, and that's your customer base, right? That's where your tire flow comes from. So makes perfect sense.
Yeah, and the other side of the coin is when the dirt roads, radiator issues, it's just not a good customer experience, and that's what we're here for, right? Vendors, customers, same thing, in my opinion.
Right,
So,
right.
yeah, it's been good.
Any other
We've been talking about
successes?
this for 10 years.
Yeah, other successes you've been dealing with. I think you mentioned you were looking at maybe some routing software or any new
Oh,
trucks or anything
so
like
so
that
we
you've been
are,
doing?
and this is, I don't know if you know this, but I belong to like a peer leadership group. I'm always looking for ways to grow as a business person, business owner, right? This is my first business. We grew this from scratch, that, but I just want to be better, right?
Mm.
So one of the things I just want to throw out there to people that are listening is if you're not, if you don't have AI in your business, and you're not looking into ways you can incorporate AI into your business, you're going to miss the train, the
You can be
boat,
behind.
whatever, the plane,
Yep.
you're going to miss it
Yeah.
because it, the theme of last year was for every quarter, there was someone coming. We have a speaker every month, and uh, four speakers out of the year came in and they talked about AI, and it was different aspects of AI. So much so that I even start doing, and I'm kind of old school, but I run some emails through AI. I use it for lots of stuff. Um, but what we're looking at doing is a routing system where we're incorporating AI. So the AI is going to look at my accounts payable and look at all the tires we picked up from this customer. It knows that each truck holds 500 tires and that the truck, it'll route it the best route, but it'll also, instead of my ladies calling on the phone and saying, hey, how many tires do you have? It'll use historical data to plan the routes for the lady. Couple things that's going to do. It's going to make a better experience for my customer. One of the biggest headaches is like, hey, I'm leaving. My customer finally gets picked up and I'm leaving 150 tires behind. That's not good business, right? But it's hard to plan every customer because they'll tell you, oh, I have 100 tires. You show up, there's 200, or I have 200 and there's 50.
Can
So
I dig in? Can I dig in real quick
yeah,
right there? So in that scenario, do you grab what you can and come back later? So let's say you could get like 35 more, so you're only leaving 115 behind. Would it be better to not even be there and go get that truck, go to a different stop, a little smaller, get that truck emptied, and then come back through either a different day, a day
no,
later,
we
or
we we picked those up, and I hope nobody on my team watches this. I'm just going to say something about employees in general. The common sense, and you'll learn if you haven't already, there's no such thing as common sense in business. This is just my own opinion. But in my head, I would say, okay, tomorrow you should go pick up that customer first, right? That we left tires
Mhm.
behind. Let's start with that customer. You would be surprised that this person, or even people in the past that don't
Well,
work
but
here,
maybe
they would do a whole
logistically
new
it's
schedule and put them at the end again. They would show up
yeah.
there and like, oh, we don't have enough room for the customers. Like, what the hell?
And that's literally what AI is supposed to do, right? Is it's supposed to take that human error out of it. Because you're absolutely right. And the other thing is, I mean, and it doesn't matter. I think if your employees watch this, whatever, because honestly, it's just being honest. Because if my employees or our employees and myself included saw this, I would hope they know that we're all capable of bad things, of
Sure.
losing our mind, like not inputting something. Like I had something not getting inputted and I just totally forgot to double check it for like a week's time, which was pretty substantial to me. Just a bonehead move, right? Just I've done it every week for how many weeks, but then I miss a week or two. It's like blows my mind. So I know mistakes are going to be made, but in the instance, like sometimes it'll even just they roll by and there's like we have a minimum of 50 tires, maybe 40 tires in the winter. Otherwise, it's not even really worth stopping the truck type thing.
Sure.
But they roll by
100%.
there and there's 42 tires and they just keep rolling because they don't want to deal with that. But then they come back the
No.
next week and there's 92 tires and they don't have enough room to finish it because they just made three other stops. You know what I mean? So I
Yeah.
think AI could help a little with that. But what I've learned in this tire industry is it's so hot and cold, like weather, sales that they're having, buy three, get one free, all these other tire store things that we have no control over just makes that volume go shift, change, and
Well,
then we can't really
but
adapt.
we did address that, and let me tell you what we came up with. So when you're setting the limits, you can set it to 400 tires per truck, right? And the AI is going to guesstimate. Well, here's the other beauty. We have so we give our guys a bonus once they read a certain weight, not number of tires, but a weight.
Yeah, we
And
we got that from you. We do the same thing.
yeah, so they call us and say, "Hey, I have room for 100 tires." Well, now we put it in the AI instead of my lady having them drive 60 miles for 80 tires. It will then route to the next customer that should have roughly around 80 tires at this particular time. The AI does all of that. That's why this system is beautiful. And I'll tell you, the pricing for this system is 30,000.
Mm.
So it's not incredibly expensive. And one other thing I just want to talk about as well on the AI, and I just want to push this point because I think it's so important. is AI is important, but the other piece of it is that routing job is the customer facing person. They don't, our customers don't want to wait till they have to call. They want those tires gone. They're running their business.
Yeah.
And I have to hire someone that knows logistics, knows the area, can control, figure out and plan all these routes, right? If this person was to leave, I could replace them with someone that knows how to, a young kid, maybe 22 years old, that doesn't have all the experience, but knows how to run a computer. So it's
Right.
just a lot of positives. And that's what AI is supposed to do. It's supposed to take some of the legwork and experience that data. If you have the data, then you can provide that to the computer to figure it out for you. There's still a human element that we need, but it's all about making the job easier.
Well, and I think what it is with AI, and I commend you for grabbing a hold of it, right? But that it it can only be as good as how much data you give it to process, but
Absolutely.
you have to start somewhere. So it's like rip the band-aid off, inject some sort of system or process so that you can start getting data for it to use. Because otherwise, it's just flying blind. But you got
Yep.
to start that process at some point. You can start it later or you can start it now. So I commend you for getting it started and working in that direction. And again, reinvesting in your business, right? We could all drive around in Lambos, like Brett says, or we
Yeah.
can reinvest the money where, or you could put it in a stock market that you have absolutely no control over. I call it fugazi. It's fake. It's not real. It's like, so it's
Or
much better to
I
reinvest
can
in.
go buy more fancy jeans if Brett ever listens to this. I can buy those
Oh,
fancy pocket jeans that we wear here in Texas.
oh, he'll listen. I guarantee you that. He'll have a comment for your sparkly jeans too, I'm
Oh,
sure.
I'm sure.
Or your Hummer. Don't you have a Hummer, right?
Oh, I don't get me
Busted.
started. Hey, if anybody out there wants to buy a Hummer, I got one for sale cheap.
2024.
It is. We went on a rally and it's a 4 hour drive. It took me
Hmm.
6.5 hours because I had to stop every 130 mile or 220 miles to charge it for 45 minutes. It was horrible. I told my
It's a
wife this is
scam, right?
ridiculous.
It's a
It,
scam. Hey, but
it'll go 312 miles if you don't use any air conditioning. There's no wind and you stay about 55 miles an hour, all of which I don't do. So,
well, so again, but maybe that goes back to the conversation of you got to start somewhere, right?
yep,
So we were just talking about AI needs the data, so you got to just start getting info in there somehow. Well,
yep.
electric cars, I kind of feel the same way, and Elon Musk talks about it. Like it's obviously better to have your gases created by one plant that makes the electricity rather than all the vehicles creating the gases, right? I guess that's it's a really dumbed down way to think about it, but basically it gives the control of the power to the big companies rather than to the individual. I don't know.
Yeah,
Call it
and I
what it
guess you
is.
could look at it a hundred different ways. I will tell you whether they're green or not. I have an opinion about that. I won't give that, but I will tell you I am very pro electric vehicles because they burn through tires 30% faster. For those
That's
all the tree people out there, just so you
that's
know, electric
that's
vehicles burn through tires 30% faster. So buy them all day, please.
buy them all day. I like that. That's a good approach too. Tom, I
Yeah.
really appreciate you coming on. And again, it's been a year. We've had a lot of ups and a lot of downs, but we're still plugging along, recycling tires. I think we'll look back and our kids might look back at these times as, wow, these guys were really pioneering on some new stuff. So it's exciting times, and I'm glad to be sharing it with a guy like you and your
Hey,
nice wife,
likewise.
Jody, and all that. All
Yeah,
right.
I'm super excited for you guys. You guys are doing a hell of a job. I keep seeing all the stuff you're doing out there. It's super exciting. I will tell you, I mean, people, I hope there's someone out there not looking at you and saying, hey, I need to be like that guy because it's tough. You guys are doing a great job, and this industry is really hard. So I think you're doing great for, especially for
Thanks
being
for
so
that.
new. You guys are knocking it out. So nice job. Nice
Thanks for
year.
that. Well, yeah, yeah. It's a good year. It's a good year. And here's to 2025. Have a good day, bud.
Hey, thank you. Take
All
care.
right. See ya.